First of all, Tibetan struggle is struggle for justice, totally based on practice of non-violence. As I mentioned in my talk also, China has no right to come to our country, and more importantly, not only invading Tibet but destroying every aspect of Tibetan culture, killing more than millions of people, and the atrocities are still going on. Their practice called Sinicization basically means Sinicizing Tibetan language, Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan culture, everything. So which basically means to toe the line of the Communist Party. So which is of course, as I mentioned, totally based on injustice and oppression, and violence and oppression, however strong they are, it will be able to continue only for a limited time. We have seen throughout the world dictators collapsing, communist regime collapsing, because atrocity, violence and oppression are against basic human nature. And what you have recently seen in Nepal and other neighboring countries is also an expression that enough is enough. And the problem is not only with the Tibetans, but also with the Chinese themselves. The Chinese people themselves also don't have freedom, because now every single individual is monitored, where they are going, what they are eating, what they are thinking, and so forth. So therefore I think that I'm quite optimistic, and I think that their days are numbered. So in the coming Chinese conference in September, I think there will be indications of changes. Okay. So that's what I can say.
Sir, after this strong struggle, after the fight, is autonomy enough? Or should you not fight for full freedom?
This is a very good question. It's very difficult to digest when His Holiness the Dalai Lama said that if the Chinese government gave us genuine autonomy, we are happy to live under the Chinese government, which is very difficult for many people to digest. But His Holiness the Dalai Lama on his side has offered the maximum, because he is saying that any problem in the world must be solved through understanding, negotiation, and reality. The reality is that globalization is happening everywhere, right? And European Union already there. Many of the Eastern European countries, they already collapsed, which were under the grip of the Russian communist system. So therefore, practically speaking, His Holiness is saying that Tibet is basically a landlocked country. So if the Chinese are really, honest with the Tibetans to take care of the well-being of the Tibetans, then Tibetans also, there's no problem to live under a big country. As I said, we are a landlocked country. Then the Chinese government can also benefit much, because Tibet is very rich in its cultural heritage. Even in terms of Buddhism, more than 300 million Chinese follow Buddhism. So that is also very good for the Chinese system, Chinese government. So His Holiness has a very long-term vision. Based on that long-term vision and for mutual benefit, he has made this offer and went to that extent. But unfortunately, the Chinese government is thinking that the Tibetan struggle will be limited until the Dalai Lama leaves. And when he's gone, everything's gone. Probably they are planning something like that. And then, as I mentioned, not only to the Tibetans, but to their own people, they are practicing, suppression, oppression, and things like that. So therefore, the dialogue that we initiated with the Chinese government also stopped since many years. It is not happening. So therefore, they are not interested in solving the problem because they think it's already solved. But it is not solved. It is not solved. So therefore, we on our side we are still prepared to have dialogue and negotiation. That's why we follow the middle way approach. But if the Chinese government did not respond at all, then the blame goes to them, not us.
Sir, yesterday during your speech, you mentioned about being a refugee. And I mean, especially considering India's stance on the Tibet-China row, I mean, it is like, I mean, it is justified to feel like a refugee in a country which kind of in a dubious stance, I believe. So, according to you, is India playing, double role in this case? Shouldn't it take a stand on the Tibetan autonomy or
No, that's
freedom?
difficult to say. Every country has their concerns. Yeah, we of course very much appreciate that the Indian government has very kindly allowed His Holiness and a big number of Tibetan refugees come into exile and settle in India. So we are very grateful to that. But that does not make us not become a, you know, does not make us not a refugee. We are still a refugee. When I say we are refugee living in a free country, we are not complaining. That's the reality. That's the reality. We are still considered as stateless. So in my case also, for example, I want to travel to other country, I don't have a proper passport, you see. I take this identity certificate, which is of course very kind to have that paper also, but still, because of this state of having no country, here and there you encounter a lot of problems, difficulties, not just necessarily from India, but everywhere, you see.
Sir, I would like to know that, I mean, about the US. The US has always supported Tibet's cause. It has facilitated unconditional talks
Yes.
between Tibet and China. Uh, and it has supported human rights, the cause for human rights in Tibet. Nonetheless, at the same time, the US itself has, violated human rights. It has provoked wars, as we also see here in the Palestine case. I mean, do you condemn the US's acts? I mean, this two-faced
number
act.
number one, since you have started asking questions on politics, I'm trying to give you a few answers, but I don't want to, swim in the, dirty sea of politics. As I already mentioned, every country has their concerns, and today it's very difficult to find a leader or a country which is spotless. It's not just America, any country, because they have their concerns. They have to play politics. So I don't want to single out any one particular country and comment about their their activities.